how do you spell inspirational?
Your word is freshen.
What?
Freshen.
Freshen?
Freshen.
I don't know how to do this.
You can do it, just try.
F-R-E-S-H-E-N.
Correct.
Bee Nation is a Canadian documentary following 6 students in the first ever First Nations Provincial Spelling Bee in Canada. And it's landed the opening slot at this year's Hot Docs Canadian International Documentary Festival. Here to tell us all about it is filmmaker Lana Šlezić, and First Nations Provincial Spelling Bee winner William Keesawasemat III. He is from the Kakawistaha First Nation Reserve in Saskatchewan. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
I am such a huge fan of this doc. I was able to see it in advance. I want to talk to you first, Lana, with why you decided to tell this particular story.
I really wanted to show a different perspective of First Nations people in Canada, a perspective we don't often see, you know, parents supporting their children in their education and really pushing them that way. And Spelling Bee is just one example of the way that they're doing that.
So, William, you were one of the students that we met along the way. We met 6 students in this documentary. What is it that you love about Spelling Bees that made you want to enter this in the first place?
I like to spell and that's all. I like to spell.
Pretty straightforward stuff.
Yeah.
In your filming of this, what did you find, Lana, that this did do for families and parents on the reserves?
Well, for the families and the parents, the kids in particular, filming them in the Spelling Bee process, I mean, I think it gave them confidence. I think it was empowering. You know, this is the first time ever they had a provincial Spelling Bee, and so for many of those kids, if not all of them, first time up on a stage. You know, first time spelling really difficult words. They had to spend a lot of time preparing for that. And, you know, I think it was really empowering for them.
William, in the documentary, we see that because of you winning in your category, you got to travel to Toronto for the National Spelling Bee. And that was your first time on a plane, in fact, for most of, if not all of the students who have participated. William, what was that like, if you can describe your experience, your first plane ride ever?
It felt scary and...
Was it exciting?
weird. Exciting.
Was it exciting? Did your little sibling and your parents feel the same way?
Yes.
Was there any nerves at all a little bit when you were up there? Or were you like, I got this, I'm good?
No, no nerves.
No nerves at all. See, I'm telling you, just a champion through and through. So, when you know, traveling to Toronto, the big city, oftentimes, as we were seeing in this film, all the way from Saskatchewan, what did you see? Was there, in terms of seeing something that was very, very different, was there a shift, did you see, in the perspective that some of these families had going to the big city and then going back home?
There were definitely nerves. You know, I think they enjoyed the city so much. They got to spend a couple of days. They went to the Blue Jays game after the Bee, so they got to unwind and relax that way. And of course, it was, I would say, overwhelming for them, those first few days, and the competition itself, because they were competing against kids from all across the country. You know, it's a different level altogether. And then going back to the reserve after that, I mean, you know, I don't want to speak for William, but I think it's always nice to go home. You know, you always want to go home. You feel comfortable in your own space.
For sure. William, what did your classmates say when you came back?
Congratulations that you won the spelling bee.
And do you think that this is something you want to continue with maybe for the next spelling bees in the next categories?
Definitely.
Definitely. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
One thing that we see in the doc is this struggle between really pushing education and then also maintaining culture.
Yeah.
And language.
Yeah.
And so how is there a way to combine both, to keep kids competitive, get kids to the level where the rest of the country is at, and still value and hold on to culture?
Good question. I hope so. There is a funding gap, which is a real problem in the education system for First Nations reserved. They don't get as much funding as non-First Nations off-reserve schools do. And so they feel, and Evan Tapetat, who's the principal of the school, will speak about that hopefully tonight, that they can't dedicate those dollars to preserving culture and language, that they have to dedicate those dollars to more mainstream education, math and English and that sort of thing. So I think it's a good question, one that needs addressing.
And lastly, I'll leave the last word to you, William. Do you know what you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a doctor when I grow up.
Wow. Dream big, everybody.
Right?
This is it. And this is the messaging so much of this film. And thank you so much for making this. It was a real pleasure to watch.
It was a pleasure for me to make. Thank you.